हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द वीडियो। इस वीडियो के अंदर हम बात करेंगे इंसिडेंट की जो हुआ था 2009 में। An Airbus 320 lost both in engines due to a bird strike, and after losing both engines, a highly set of experienced crew on board decided to ditch the aircraft into Hudson River. How good was the decision? Let's analyze it ourselves after watching the video. Well, first thing you should know about is the experience of the crew member who were flying the aircraft, who was Captain Chesley Sullenberger, nicknamed Sully, who was the commander of this aircraft 320, call sign Cactus 1549, a US Airways Flight whose call sign is Cactus. Very highly experienced captain. Along with him, First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, who had 15,000 flying hours. But on this particular aircraft, Airbus 320, he only had 37 hours of flying time. He had endorsed this aircraft only 16 days before the date of the incident. Now let's come to the date of the incident, which was 15th of January 2009. At LaGuardia Airport, the aircraft took off with a 66 tons total takeoff weight with 155 persons on board, including the crew, on a northeasterly runway. After about 54 seconds, attaining a height of about 3,200 feet, the flock of birds of Canadian goose, which are really big in size, hit both the engines and aircraft lost power on both the engines.
Cactus 1539 hit birds, so you lost thrust on both engines, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading up 220.
220.
Tower, stop your departures, got emergency returning. So it's 1529. He bird strike. He lost all engine. He lost the thrust in the engines. He's returning immediately.
Cactus 1529. Which engines?
He lost thrust in both engines. He said.
Now, at this height of about 3,000 to 3,200 feet, the aircraft became a glider, and the aircraft started to drop at about 1,100 feet per minute. So now the crew had 170 to 175 seconds to decide the fate of 105 souls on board. Well, if you see statistically, most of the bird strikes happen below 500 feet. And in this case, it happened at 3,000 feet. So I would say they were a little fortunate in this case, because had it happened at 500 feet or less, they would have got only less than 30 seconds to land the airplane. Well, if you're thinking from a passenger's perspective, आपको लग रहा होगा कि it's so easy कि birds enter the engine's inlet and they bring down an airplane so easily. Well, not exactly. Aircrafts are certified for such bird strike incidents, but for normal birds, which weigh up to 1 to 2 kgs. In this case, it was a Canadian goose. Average Canadian goose weighs about 4.5 kgs, and a male Canadian goose can weigh up to 6.5 kg as well. So that was unfortunate. There's something noteworthy that I must tell you. Dual engine failure is not a part of the normal training that we do, not the recurrent trainings that we do. It's not a part of any simulator exercise. And what both the crew were supposed to deal with was something that they had never practiced before. They only had their experience, which they were supposed to utilize then to save the aircraft, save their life, and save the lives of the passengers. So as soon as Captain Sully realized the engines are losing power, he took over the controls by announcing, "I have the controls." A very good call, he should have given that. But something extraordinary that he did thereafter was by asking the first officer to start the APU. Now this is something he was not required to do as per the book, but definitely a very, very good call, because an APU, which is auxiliary power unit, supplies electricity and pressurization when the engine is not running. And in this case, the engines never revived. So it proved out to be very handy in the later stages. So this is something that he did using his expertise, and it was a very, very good call. Later, he asked the first officer to go ahead with the non-normal checklist, and simultaneously he called up the ATC, declaring the highest level of emergency, which is Mayday.
Cactus 1529. If we can get it for you, do you want to try to land runway 13?
We're unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
All right, Cactus 1549. It's going to be left traffic to runway 31.
Unable.
Okay, what do you need to land? Cactus 1549. Runway 4 is available if you want to make left traffic to runway 4.
I'm not sure we can make any runway. What's over to our right? Anything in New Jersey, maybe Teterboro?
Okay, yeah, off your right side is Teterboro Airport. Do you want to try to go to Teterboro?
Yes.
Teterboro, Empire. Actually, LaGuardia departure guy, emergency inbound.
Hey, go ahead.
Cactus 1529 over the George Washington Bridge. Wants to go to the airport right now.
Wants to go to our airport. Check. Does he need assistance?
Yes, it was a bird strike. Can I get him in for runway 1?
Runway 1, that's good.
Cactus 1529, turn right to runway 1 at Teterboro.
We can't do it.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
I'm sorry.
LaGuardia air traffic controller, after listening to this call, starts assisting the aircraft in emergency and clears his own airfield for landing of the emergency aircraft and asks for the aircraft for his further intentions. So meanwhile, captain thinks about it that if he makes a 180-degree turn, so during the turn the aircraft gets more drag, hence they will lose more height as compared to if they are flying parallel. So he looks for another airfield, which was on his right. There was an airfield called Teterboro. So he asked for vectors to that particular airfield. So by the time the ATC, LaGuardia ATC coordinates with Teterboro air traffic controllers and he starts to vector him for Teterboro, the captain had already lost about 1,000 feet. So he was at 2,000 feet, Teterboro was at 7 miles away from his position. So it would have been, very difficult. So at this moment, captain decides, instead of taking such a big risk of lives, or if he's not able to make it, he will have to land, crash the aircraft in the city. So he thought he makes a very good judgment of landing the aircraft on Hudson River, which was right below him. At this moment, Captain Sully decided that he will ditch the aircraft in Hudson River. But what he didn't know was, on the way, there will be a 500 feet high George Washington Bridge. He managed to escape the bridge by only about 100 feet to spare, with all kinds of warnings coming in the cockpit. Almost at the same time, the air traffic controllers lost this aircraft on the radar.
I'm sorry, say again, Cactus? Cactus 1549, radar contact is lost. You also got Newark Airport up at 2 o'clock in about 7 miles. Eagle 54718, turn left thing 210.
210, 4718. I think he said he was going in the Hudson.
Now air traffic controllers had to seek help from nearby helicopter to know the position of the aircraft. Well, a helicopter could trace the aircraft visually and communicated the position of the aircraft, because of which the rescue services could arrive on time to help save the lives of the passengers. At about 500 feet, captain called brace for impact, and cabin crew did a passenger announcement by calling brace, 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 and after a small pause, brace, brace, brace. So with this, the passengers were alerted and they took brace position, but they were still under dilemma whether the aircraft is going to touch the ground or it's going to land in the river. The next challenge now was to land the airplane at the correct altitude. Airbus recommends A320 for ditching at a pitch altitude of 11 degrees. So at this pitch altitude, the airplane can land safely and survive the impact. Captain Sully successfully demonstrated landing of this heavy aircraft, but still there was a breach in the aircraft's tail. The airplane finally landed with an impact and everybody on board felt the jerk. Well, everybody thought they had survived the crash. Well, there was one thing very vital that was missed out, that was pressing of ditch button. What this button would have done, it would have sealed all the outlets and vents and would have prevented the water from coming inside the airplane. If it is so vital during ditching, how come it was missed out? this action was a part of a 3-page checklist, and this action was coming in the end of the checklist because a dual engine failure checklist assumes that it would happen at a higher altitude, and in this case it happened at 3,000 feet, wherein crew had no time to finish the entire checklist. So it was missed out, and now they had 24 minutes with this water flow coming inside before this entire aircraft will be submerged into Hudson. Crew ferry service got the message to rescue the passengers. In about 4 minutes, the closest boat, which was Jefferson, reached the site. Hats off to the rescue team for saving everybody on board. I personally adore the calmness of Captain Sully and First Officer Jeffrey, with which they dealt such a big emergency and saved so many lives. NTSB, National Transport Safety Board, also appreciated the same fact and also appreciated the CRM during the emergency. Also, NTSB has appreciated the efforts laid down by the cabin crew and the rescue team. Well, there's a lot to learn from this video, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, please like the video and share it. This will keep me motivated to come up with more videos. Thanks for watching.